Hello friends, welcome back to Havron Professional Development Group, and we are on to Microsoft Excel. My name is Samson Emelike, and in this video I will be discussing Worksheet Basics. In the last video we talked about cell basics and we explored the very minute characteristics of cells that we can explore to speed up our work. And so in this video, we'll be looking at the worksheet basics. What properties do they have? What can they do? What can we use them for? How do we use them to improve our work? So we'll be looking at things like creating worksheets. We are going to be grouping them, renaming, moving to another workbook and moving within the same workbook. And then we'll explore the different view options like freeze panes, viewing different windows of the same file. For instance, this is a same file. I want to look at this worksheet and at the same time look at this view option sheet. And at the same time, is it possible for me to look at these three and see what is happening at the same time? We'll be exploring those options, those viewing options. And is it possible for me when I have a very large data like this with several columns, and I want to be able to be seeing what is some at the beginning with the end here, without necessarily freezing it? Is there a way I can do that? And is there a way I can also be looking at the top things or anywhere in the middle together and comparing them with what is happening at the ground, at the very bottom? So these are the different view options that we will be exploring. And then finally, we will look at creating a summary sheet. Some of us are involved in supervising several states. And then if you have worksheets dedicated to each state and you have several of them, you want to be able to create a summary sheet. If you are working in a state and you have several organizations that you are supervising or you're managing, and for each of them you have worksheets dedicated to them, how are you able to link all the sheets into the summary sheet? So we'll be looking at that in this video. All right, so I will just need to start away, and I will start by saying that when you start a new workbook, that workbook will usually come with an empty worksheet, usually sheet 1. Now, for instance, I'm going to create a new workbook, and I'm going to do that by hitting Control N, and then a new workbook opens. Over here, you see it is workbook 2, all right? Now, you look down here, the tab here that is active is sheet 1. So you will see this positive sign here. You can use it to add as many other worksheets that you like. All right, so I'm going to get away from here and then continue with where we are. All right, so one of the things that we can do is that we can rename our worksheets. Actually, I know of 2 ways. It's either I double click inside here and begin to type, or I right click and then pick up the rename option. So when I rename it, it becomes active. It becomes active for you to edit. Okay. Now the other thing we need to know is that worksheet, you can move them within this workbook. I can decide to move this one to this point. I can move it to the end. I may decide to pick this view option and bring it to the middle here. All right. Now, when you are creating a new worksheet, whichever sheet that is active, the moment you click this, the new one is inserted just after it. Sometimes you may want to insert a new worksheet at the end here. What you need to do is to click this very one, and then you can now click this. If you were viewing this and then you felt, well, I need to insert a new worksheet, we should come to the end here. It won't happen that way. Rather, it will open just between the register and the view options like this, and then it comes there. So now you will need to manually bring it to the end here if you actually intend for it to be at the very end. Another way we can move sheets is by right-clicking in that sheet that you want to move, and then you pick this option, move or copy. Now you have different options right now. Remember, there is a workbook that is open. I'm going to move this sheet 7. I want to move it into this particular workbook called tutorial. If you look at the top there, it's the same tutorial, all right? So I want to move it to come before register, the sheet. This is the sheet here called register. So I am going to move it. I have this option here, create a copy. I'm not going to click this because I don't want a copy right now. So when I click it, it's going to bring it before register. So see what happens. This is my sheet 7. Once I click go, it comes here, and it didn't make any copy. Now I can right click here also. I'm still going to pick the same option, and I'm going to say take it to before this. I'm saying before sheet, this worksheet basic. All right, so it's going to appear just after view options. However, now I want to create a copy. All right, we know that in a worksheet, no two or more worksheets can bear the same name. So Excel is going to create a second version of this sheet 7, and then it will insert it just before this worksheet basics. So let's go ahead and see. It has brought it to this point, and this is a second version of what we have created. So those are the two things you can do. There is another thing that we can do. I'm going to move this sheet 7, the second version of it, to another workbook. Remember, we are working on tutorial worksheet basic. That is our book, our workbook. But I want to move it to a different workbook that is not open right now. So what do? I have options here. All my active, all the windows that are opened or that are active, even though we're not viewing them right now, they are listed here. For instance, we have book 1, we have book 2, and then we have this one that we are currently working on. So I'm going to hit this one. So I am asking Excel now to go ahead, take this sheet 7, the second version of it, take it to book 1, okay? And then I'm not creating a copy, which means this will leave. And the moment this happens, see what's going to happen? Let's see what we have here. This is my book 1. See, it has come to this point. And because I did not create a new, I did not copy, I did not tick that option of copying, it didn't make any copy for me. Now, please, I need to sound this note of warning. There are a lot of things you can do, and then you discover it's an error you can undo by Ctrl-Z, or you come in over here and undo a lot of actions. However, when you are doing things here at this worksheet basics, tabs, whatever you do here, you cannot undo it. For instance, now, this sheet 7, the second version of it that we moved away from this workbook, we cannot undo it, no matter what we do. Now, when you remove a worksheet that is so important in what you are doing, and you wish you could recall it back, all you need to do is to go ahead and close. The moment you close it, and it asks you, do you want to save? Say no, you don't want to save. And then it closes. And then when you open it, that worksheet that you deleted will be retained. However, if there were other things that you had done before you deleted that sheet and you did not save, that means all those operations, all those things that you did will also be lost. So it is also advisable that as you keep doing things, you keep saving. So let me go ahead and save right now. Okay, so we have discussed about moving. We can also rename, like we discussed, by double-clicking, or you right-click and choose that, your rename option here. You can also color code your tabs. For instance, this is already color coded red. If I come here, I might decide to put yellow, and then you will see a tint of yellow at the background. But the moment I click another sheet that is not active, it becomes very obvious. Okay, so this is useful sometimes when we have a need to identify specific sheets. For instance, I usually use these different codes. When I am working on state data, those ones on yellow, I might say, okay, there are a few things I need to confirm on them. Those ones with red, they are the ones with great flags, very striking errors, okay? And then sometimes when I give green, those ones I've treated them and they are good to go. All right, so those are the kind of things that you can also apply. So now let's look at the viewing options. And for that, I am going to open this. Now, if you have, this is a very large one, I think it's about 600, okay, over 700, 750, over 750 records. All right, remember what we did? Hold my control and hit the upward arrow to take me to the very beginning. And then let's see what we got at the right-hand side. Okay, so there are several things I want to view. Number one, I want to be able to see what is happening to this group of people. Let's say, let me give this one green. And then at the very bottom, I want to also see, I want to be able to be seeing these two, all right, the green and the yellow. All right. So how do I do it? If I come here and I say I want to freeze my pane, the whole of this will remain fixed. And then I begin to scroll. Well, that is one option, but I don't think it's the best option. There are several ways you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in Excel, but there are smarter ways depending on your choice. So what we need to do is to simply insert a split horizontally here. All right, so I'm going to do this. I have selected a row, and I'm going to go to my View tab, and I'm going to click Split. When I click this split, it has splitted my screen into upper and lower part. And then at the same time, it has inserted my scroll bars up and down. What it simply did, it was to create a different, it's the same file. Each of these has the beginning and the end. What I mean is, for this one, this is the very first one. And when we scroll down, remember we are still looking at this one, we scroll down, we still also see the very end. Now, let's come to this point. This is the beginning. When we scroll down in this one, we'll still also see the very end. So splitting your screen helps you to look at two extreme ends and compare values. Okay, so this is very, very handy when you have several records and you really need to look at entries and compare them. So what I did was I just came to the middle, not necessarily the middle, but wherever you want. Okay, so even this, I can also hold it and drag it and drop it here. Okay, and in which case I can still bring this one down. Okay, so I have just shifted my split. So when you click, you select a row, go straight to View tab, and then hit your split button, and then it splits it. Okay, so I have done this. Great. This is also something that will really help us. So let me go ahead and remove that split. Now I want to be able to see each of these persons here. All right, this is employee. I want to see total that are close to them, or tagged to them. So in which case I might decide to put a split here, but this time around is vertical. So I come over to the same View tab and then hit my split button, and then I have inserted a split here, which has also inserted two different scrolls for me, I can scroll this one this way. I will see the very end. This is the total. I can also get this to show me the very beginning. Okay, this is the very beginning, which we saw on the other side. So I can quickly and easily cross-check whatever I want to cross-check. Okay, so this is a very good way to view your screen. Okay, so let me go ahead and remove this split. Another fantastic thing that can happen is I may decide to view this thing in 4 different options. I may decide to insert a split that will break this into 4 different parts. So in that case, what I need to do is to come here and pick a cell, and then I go there and hit this split, and it brings into 4. Each of them is a full-fledged database that we have. Now let's see this. If I scroll up on this, this is the very beginning for this for me. Okay, you can see this is Anderson, which is the first. Even if you look at here, it's the first, and it's also taking the second row. All right, so the same thing here. We scroll here, it's going to give us the very last column on this side. All right, so these are wonderful features. I encourage you to go ahead and then explore some of these viewing options. Now, another important viewing option that we can look at is, I want to be able to, now I have three workbooks open. This workbook 1 and workbook 2. And I can actually view these 3 at the same time. So what do I need to do? I simply go to my view, okay, and I'm going to ask it to arrange. I usually like tile arrangement. So when I click this, it's supposed to give me all of them 3 together. Okay, so let me use this, arrange all. Now it has given me this. This is 1, this is 2. All right, this is workbook 1. Now let me look at this workbook 2. Let me click all, arrange, and all the tile. You see that all the 3 are now appearing depending on what I want to see. Now this becomes very, very useful when you have one particular file that you are working on and you want to view different sheets. Let me explain further. So I am going to close this. This is my workbook 1. I don't need to make any save. Don't save, right? And then here, let me click, delete this. Close this. I don't want to save. All right, so let me open this now. This is the only file that is open, right? I want to be able to view, at least for now, this view option and this worksheet. All right, is there anything that we hear? Okay, so let's say we want to view these 2 together, register and view options. I want to see them side by side. Remember, there is no other workbook that is open here. This is the only one. So what I need to do is I need to come back to my view, but I'm going to create a copy. I'm going to create a copy of this. Not a copy that you save as a different file, but it's one that you can view from a different window. Now, note the name of this. At the top here is Tutorial on Worksheet Basics. So the moment I click here, it's going to change. You see at the top there, we have 1 and we have 2. So we are currently viewing 2. Now, when I go to my view option, this is my view, and I say switch window, look at the 2 that are active. So I can switch to any one of them. Currently, we are viewing 2. That's why you see 2 up there. Now, right now, when I click this one, I'm going to see 1. As you can see there, there is 1 there. Now, I'm going to now apply what we learned just a while ago by arranging and tile. 2 of them are open. It's the same file, but I've simply created a new window of that same file because I want to be able to view it here. So I'm viewing the register now, and on this part, I am viewing these viewing options. Note that whatever you do here will apply here. Say, for instance, here, I am deciding now to change this to Benway. All right. The moment I open here, I'm viewing this number 2 now, and I click here, it has changed to Benway also, to let you know that it's the same file. And if you go ahead to close any one now, you will not be asked whether you want to save until you are closing the very last one that is open, the last version of it, of that window. So it's the same thing. If I want to view 3, I can also go ahead here and click new window. So when I click new window, I need to have that option here. When I click new window, the next window that's going to come is 3. Here is 1, here is 2. All right? So these are different view options that are available for us to speed up what we are doing. And I know that sometimes if you need to look at and compare what is happening up with what is happening down below, it takes a while, and sometimes you may need to apply manual means of doing your comparison. But I believe that these viewing options will really help. Another viewing option that we will want to talk about is the freeze panes. All right, so when you open these free panes, there are 3 different options that you can apply. Now, the first one is to freeze the column and the row. This is the top row, this is a column. Whichever column you want and whichever row you want, you can apply that. All right, so let me remove this field, go back to my home, open here, no field. Then I think I have a field down there. I click and hold all this, and I say no field. Right. Control and up arrow. So it takes us to the very top again. Now, if I want to see what is happening on my right-hand side, but I want to keep this column A, where I have my employees, I want it to be static, I want it to be fixed, I want to freeze it. So I come here, simply here, and I click here. And I go to my view, then go to my freeze pane. I apply the first one, which means whatever that is above where I've selected and whatever that is after what I've selected will be frozen. So when I click this, I scroll this way, the employee name column is frozen. When I scroll downwards, those at the upper, the header, they are frozen. Now let me unfreeze. Assuming I want this column, this column, this column to be active, to be fixed. I want them to be visible while I keep scrolling. And at the same time, I want only this to remain visible. So I come here. This is strategy because it's coming before these other 3 columns that I want to remain visible. And then here, I go ahead and apply the same thing. The same thing happens. When I scroll down, it's there. When I scroll this way, all the 3 columns are fixed. Right, so that is one option. Now let's look at the other options. Now, assuming something happened here, maybe this is a record that is of interest to you, and you want all these ones to be hidden, and you want only this one. So if this is the one I want to remain visible, all I need to do is to scroll and push it to that very point. Good. And then I can now come here, irrespective of wherever that is selected, come to this point and open my freeze pane, and I'm going to freeze the top row. I click this. When I begin to scroll, that point remains visible. So that is another thing you need to know. Meanwhile, I did not apply any freeze instruction on the column. So if you scroll this way, the columns will continue to move and go in there. All right, so that is the second option. Also, the third option is you want to freeze only a column. You are not freezing the row. The one we just did a while ago, was just to freeze only the row. We didn't freeze column. But right now, we want to see if we want to freeze only column without freezing a row. Then you ask, the question is, which row, which column do you want to freeze? Now, assuming we want to be seeing what is happening on the dates, this is the one that we want to freeze. All I need to do is to push it, let it be the very last one there. And then irrespective of wherever I click, I can click here, I can click here, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I have brought this one to the very last one before the row headers. So I come here and I click here. All right, so when I scroll this way, that point remains visible. Okay, so I think the final thing that we want to do right now is to see what we can do about grouping. And then from grouping, we'll now create our summary sheet. Great. Now, I am going to move this one to the very beginning here. So I'm going to do this, move, take it to the end. I'm not making any copy. I hit, and it comes here. Now, right now, assuming I am managing 6 states. So I am going to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have, okay, this is the one that was there before. All right, so let's go ahead and delete this one. You see, it didn't ask me if I want to save. The reason is that there is no content there. You haven't done anything on it. But if I was to delete this, if I right click and say I want to delete, because there is something that has happened here, is asking, do you want to save, or you want to permanently delete this? So do you want to continue? Permanently, that's what it says. Well, I say forget. All right, so this is what we want to do now. These are the different states. All right, so like I say, I'm going to double click and write state 1. Okay, so let me copy this. All right, so I'm hitting this, pasting this, state 2, state 3, state 4, state 5. I said I'm covering 6 states. Good. Okay, so I want to be able to copy whatever I have here, all right, across this my 6 states, and I want it to happen at once. I don't have time to copy this, come here and paste, come here and paste, come here and paste until I've done the paste on 6 states. Assuming I have the 36 plus 1 states that I'm handling, it's going to take me a while. So I want to group these sheets together so that I can do that at once. Now, when you group your sheets together and you do anything, whatever operation you are doing will be duplicated across. Now, let me explain. This is the state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4, state 5, and state 6. So I'm going to group this together, and I'm going to type on E1. Look at my name box here. And I'm going to type Havron, and I'm done. Now, when I click state 1, it's the same thing. State 2, state 3, state 4. Well, this may not really be obvious. Let me ungroup. Now, this is 4, it's there. This is 3, it's there. When I come here, all of them are now bearing that. So what I need to do is to select all my sheets, or the sheets that I want to group together, and then copy and paste what I want to do. For instance, now, I'm going to copy this entire spreadsheet, and I'm going to put it across here. Now, from experience, things like this may not be pasted across grouped sheets, okay? So for the purpose of this grouping that we want to do, we are going to delete this from our sheet. And again, you would have noticed that this is Excel table. Of course, we know that it's not all tables that are recognized by Excel as table. Any table you click and you see this table option here, then that is a table. For instance, now, if I make something like this, okay, I can actually decide to format it and then maybe put beautiful things here, do this, and then here I have name, okay, I have name, I have sales, just like we have at the other side. Then I have expenditure, I have cash, I have balance, for instance. This is not a table. We may be using it as a table. But you see, the moment I click here, there is no table option here. But once I click here, there is this table option here. Okay, so in other videos, we explain why it is necessary to work with an official uh, table recognized by Excel. There are things you can do swiftly with those kind of tables. All right. So what we need to do is number two, we are going to remove this table. And how do we do it? Once we click here, this option comes up. We are going to be design, and we are coming here to convert to range. Once we convert this to range, we have removed the table. We click here, yes, go ahead and remove. Now, the moment I click here, see this table option, the table tools will disappear. It's no longer active. So even if you click here, it's no longer active. Right. So with this now, we should be able to do this paste across grouped sheets. Now, so I am going to click this. This is selecting the entire worksheet. I'm going ahead to click my Control C. I have copied it and I'm going to paste it across these grouped sheets. I have held down my shift button after I selected the first one. I held down my shift button. I went ahead to click the very last one in my row. And I've selected all of them. When you look up here, you see that that is a group. Great. So what do I need to do next? Because these are the sheets that I want to paste what I have copied, I'm going ahead to select all of them. So by clicking here, I've selected all of them. And I'm going to use the Enter button to paste. All right, so I have done that. And everything now is pasted across all the sheets that are grouped together. Now let's try. So first of all, let me ungroup by right-clicking in the grouped sheet and selecting the ungroup command. You see, this is group 6. It contains this. This is sheet 5. It contains it. This is 4. This is 3. This is 2. This is 1. And this is our source. Great. So this way, you are able to do, you're able to apply a command across several sheets that you have grouped together. Now, so let's use this now as I'm going to use this register as our summary. And it will also be good if we convert this to money. Okay, this is money. And we are in Nigeria. So let's see here. Let's get more. We are dealing with currency. Okay, so let's get here. Let's pick any of the Naira values. Let's pick the one from Edo. We actually have about 4 of them. All right, so and we don't want any decimal point. This is how it's going to look. So when I click this, it has become Naira, and this is duplicated across the 6 states. Oh, by the way, I ought to have done this here. Since I didn't do it, I'll simply do my formatting. I'll simply click any one, or even as they are selected, but let me pick only one. And I'm going to pick this, my format painter. I'm coming here, I'm dropping it here, and I have my Naira value. Let me go ahead and save. Good. Now that we have done this, let us click delete here. Okay. Whatever we write here, if it is, so long as it's, not, it's still going to give us the Naira value. So let's not worry. Control Z. Now, what we need to do is to create a summary sheet. All right. What is the total sale for all these 6 states? what is the total expenditure for all these 6 states, what is the cash for all these 6 states. And it's going to take me less than 20 seconds to do. So what I need to do here is I am going to click here and I'm going to write equals this. I'm clicking this one, holding down my shift button, clicking this. Now I come and hit this and I enter. This has done this for me. I come this way, I double click. This is done. What I have simply done is I have added the values. The value, like we see in my formula, in my summary, in my formula bar, it's telling me that I am taking these sheets. It's a range now. See this column, sheet 1 to sheet 6. And I am picking the values that is found in C11. This is our C11. If you remember our cell basic, when we talked about the addresses and how to make this cell range reference, this is C11. And it has gone to pick everywhere 611, 611. All right, so this is a very beautiful skill that we should be aware of and then apply them in what we do. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much. Please subscribe and then share.